And we're live.
Good evening and welcome to experimental Ustream chat Q&A. This is fun. We might do it in the future again.
Yeah, so this is our first try at doing a live stream Q&A session, and we're hoping that some folks have brought some questions for us, and we'll be answering it about life on the road. And it looks like we have microchip there is the original Technomad. Hi, Steve. Good to see you. So if anyone has questions we can answer, I bet he can.
Yes. And if anybody has suggestions on different ways to do this in the future and stuff, throw them out. And or just say hi if you're there streaming. Okay, somebody said something. What is it?
All right, we've got our first question. It says, did you get the MiFi 4G LTE 4620L to tether with the Wi-Fi Ranger Go?
I didn't get it to tether, but I've got an email from them saying that in the new 5.6.2 firmware, I've been going back and forth with them about what it would take to make it tether, and apparently in the new 5.6.2 firmware, which is, I think it was a week away as of a week ago, so we'll see how quickly that actually goes out. The new firmware will have native support for tethering with the 4G MiFi 4620L, and it will also actually tether with directly with most Android phones, apparently, as well. So I'm very eager to see the improvements in tethering that come in the next firmware.
So the significance of the MiFi 4G LTE 4620 that Mr. Bircher is asking about is that it's a device that Millennicom is currently shipping for their 4G, 3G internet plan. And if you're not in the know, that is the Technomad choice for pretty good bandwidth. It's Millennicom resells bandwidth on the Verizon network and also Sprint.
And also T-Mobile now, too.
And T-Mobile as well. But their 4G, 3G plan with the MiFi device says...
No audio. Wait, is anybody else hearing us with no audio? Somebody confirm they can hear us.
It'll take a while for it to catch up.
Yes, that's true.
Well, while we're waiting for an audio confirmation, we'll trudge ahead here. So the MiFi device that was being asked about is the one that Millennicom ships. And a lot of us mobile nomads are using that because Millennicom sells this for $70 a month, no contract. You get 20 gigabytes of data on the Verizon network, and that's a soft cap, meaning that if you occasionally go slightly over it, they're not going to cancel you or give you any overage charges. So a lot of use that because it's a great way for us to get a usable amount of bandwidth every month without having to go into a two-year contract directly with Verizon.
And one thing I noticed actually is when Millennicom launched this plan, it was a 10 gig 4G, 10 gig 3G, and then they said, well, they weren't really enforcing the split, and now they've actually have made it full on. It's 20 gigs of 4G, use it as you like. So it's a lot. Oh, good. I'm glad the audio is fine. It's a lot of data for a way better deal than you get directly from Verizon, but it is Verizon's coverage of data.
If you're curious, this is what the MiFi device looks like. It's smaller than a pack of cards. The only difference between the one that you would get directly from Verizon is that Millennicom puts this sticker right over the Verizon logo. This is a Verizon MiFi Jetpack. It runs off battery. It's got a built-in Wi-Fi router to it. So this is an all-in-one device. It's got a battery that you can run off it. You can take it out with you hiking. You can take it to the beach or whatever.
It even says 4G Verizon connected. I'm not sure if you'll be able to read that or not, but they don't hide it too very far that you're on Verizon's network other than the sticker, because Millennicom can't, basically their only deal is they can't advertise that it's Verizon, but they can resell it.
So that is our primary choice for our internet connection.
And are we back? I think we're back. Okay, so the Wi-Fi Ranger Go is a cellular/Wi-Fi router. In theory, it's your everything router. It's got Ethernet ports out one side, Wi-Fi for your internal network. It will pick up the campground Wi-Fi or any other outside Wi-Fi you can get, and it also has a USB port to talk to an air card USB stick. It can tether directly in the new firmware directly to a Wi-Fi Ranger, to a Wi-Fi MiFi device like this. Why you'd want to tether is if you're talking both in and out Wi-Fi, that's a lot of Wi-Fi traffic. It's you'll be faster and less potential for interference if, at the very least, this is talking to the Wi-Fi Ranger with a cable instead of wirelessly. and then that talking to the rest of your network. So it just simplifies things, and the tethering should speed things up quite a bit.
Right. And Steve just asked if the Wi-Fi device has an antenna port. It does. It's right here. So you can plug in an external antenna into this Wi-Fi device. So if you are living in a Faraday cage, like many of us are in mobile substrates, you can plug an antenna right into it. We've actually been using, do you have the Sleek handy?
So this is a Wilson Sleek.
For network connection.
Hopefully people are hearing this still. This is a Wilson Sleek 4G. It's a 4G booster, 3G 4G booster for Verizon's network. They also have one for AT&T's network. And I'm allergic to network dropouts. I think that was going on there. So this, with an antenna on the roof or an antenna in the window, lets us get around the issues of living inside a metal box. Because being in a metal box really, really, really degrades your signal.
So the way this works, this is basically a patch antenna. The Wi-Fi device just fits nice and snugly into this little cradle. And this will connect to an external antenna. One comes with the
actually,
sleeve.
that's the USB powering.
Okay,
that's
whatever.
the power cable.
Okay, so that is.
The antenna's over here. The antenna wire's over this way.
So we've got that routed out the window. And we also do have a antenna on the roof that we can use on it as well.
And
someone asked, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and skip and answer Microchip's question about the Wi-Fi device before we're going to talk about satellite internet.
Sci-Free. What is Sci-Free?
That's one of the external antennas, and we don't use that one. We have not tested it with it, so we do not know. Steve, Microchip.
Yes. Hope so. I don't know why it wouldn't, but let us know.
I do know that Jack Myers has done a report. He tests the Sci-Free equipment, and he has tested the Sleek. So I would highly recommend checking out his site for much more geekery on that. So we had the question of, do we still have the satellite internet account active? We actually have not had the account active in over a year now. Our biggest use of the satellite internet system is when we go to Burning Man. And,
or Western National Parks.
Or if we're doing a lot of camping out in Western National Parks and doing boondocking out there. We have been East Coast now since this time last year, where cell phone signal is pretty prevalent and it's really difficult to not find signal. So we do not currently have the satellite internet hooked up. We do not have an active account with them.
And getting it hooked, well, Hughes is incredible. We would have an active account if they would let us turn it on and off at will, but they only let you suspend your account for 6 months out of a year. So if we only need it active for a month at a time, well, we actually have to go through the hassle of canceling it and then getting it reactivated. HughesNet's got some of the worst telephone customer support I've ever had to deal with. So literally you take 3 or 4 hours on the phone to get the device reactivated, so it's not very worth the effort very often to go through that.
Right, so I think that the Sci-Free is similar to our Top Signal, which is an amp. So yeah, we use the Top Signal 55 for our general amplified cellular signal boosting. We have the antenna on the roof, the booster in our Museum of Connectivity in the back of the bus, and that's what does our repeating for cellular. However, it is not 4G compatible, so that's why we're using the Wilson Sleek. As best our knowledge, as far as boosters go, the Wilson Sleek is currently the only 4G device?
It's the only practical and affordable 4G booster. There are 4G boosters designed for building scale installations, and if you wanted to spend ungodly amounts of money, you could probably rig one up into a mobile to a mobile setup. But at the moment, I haven't seen anything other than the Wilson Sleeks. Okay, we've got another question. Is it difficult to find a month-to-month plan for satellite? I haven't been able to find one myself. Well, I guess if you don't have a contract, Hughes you can treat it as month-to-month. You always refuse. When they'll try and give you a contract, they'll say they want to upgrade your hardware. Never let them, because the new hardware is not compatible for travelers at all. You can't use it nationwide. It has a home zone. and the satellite uses a satellite spot beam. So if you travel more than 50 or 100 miles, you can no longer have coverage. But if you find the old hardware, it's all out of contract, and if you refuse to let them give you any perks or discounts to get you to sign a new contract, then HughesNet is month to month. It's just a royal pain to cancel and reactivate when you actually need to turn it on and off fully, as opposed to just the temporary suspensions.
Apparently it's a lot easier if you go through one of the resellers for mobile. Is it Motosat or something it's a lot easier. You call them up and they handle the hassles. They've already navigated. You tried going direct last time, which was a pain in the butt.
Well, if you go through the Motosat ones, they are the motorized roof mounts, as opposed to, we use a tripod, so we're kind of in a very gray area. The motorized roof mounts cost more, even for your monthly plan, but then they have a service that is a bit better. You're not dealing directly with HughesNet and impersonating a consumer who's got a satellite dish on the side of their house. You're going through a middleman who marks up HughesNet's service costs, but then is the middleman for activating and deactivating your service. So and knows about travelers and the needs of travelers, and that your dish is installed on your roof and has been professionally installed. It's we went with the tripod system particularly because when we did it, we were just doing it as an experiment, and we were living in the Oliver at the time, so we had no roof space for a big roof mount system that would be professionally installed. And we'd much rather have all the capabilities, lower monthly fee, and a tripod setup that we just do by hand.
So Richard asked us to repeat what we said about the 4620, and actually it'll probably be easier to go back and view the full explanation if you could when this is recorded. But the quick answer is they just released the firmware.
No, they've just confirmed that the next firmware will have 4620 tethering working. They haven't sent me that firmware yet. They've been saying it's a week away for the last week, so it should be here any day now, as best I can tell.
Sweet. I think we just covered mobile tech in 20 minutes.
Cool. Now it's time for a toast. Here's to connectivity.
Cool.
And raise your glass wherever you are out there to connectivity.
Toasting here, everybody.
The most important thing a Technomad can have.
If the internet's not working, wine helps.
Yes, the ultimate solution to bad connectivity is lots of alcohol.
Well, not lots.
Depends how bad the connectivity is.
Well, so what other questions do you guys have? We're open to anything. You talk about RVing, mobile tech, nomadic life, small business. Kiki's here to answer your questions as well. You want to force her on camera?
Oh. Hey. Talk to the people. Talk to the people, cat.
She's still kind of upset about the teal harness, if you read her post on that, but she seems to be adapting just fine.
Anyway, she's for sale. If anybody is interested in a cat, usually at least for an hour or two a day, we're considering selling her. Hey, there's 20 of you out there, so somebody say something or ask something. And of course, there's the lag. Hey, we're frozen?
No, I froze this so we're not killing the bandwidth.
Ah, good. Oh, so Debbie and Bill want help from Kiki about getting an antenna. Kiki?
All right, we're getting lots of questions in here. All right, so the antenna, Debbie, can you specify exactly what kind of antenna you're looking for? Wi-Fi, cellular, stuff like that? We can address that. Let's see, going on up here. Where's Kiki's litter box? Okay, we can show you where Kiki's litter box is.
too.
Right. So it needs to be all purged out, and then some of the stuff will be moving into families' basements. When I met Chris a couple months after he hit the road, and I had a house here in Florida where we're currently parked at, and I was able to get rid of I'd say the first pass, probably about 80-90% of the stuff that I had there, and then a year later when we decided that yes, I was going to join him on the road full time and put a push to sell my house, I went ahead and got rid of the rest of it, moved just a few boxes up to his parents' place in St. Louis. So that'll be eventually where the few mementos end up at, and we will hopefully no longer have a storage unit we're paying for. Do we really need all the gadgets published in our article in June?
We need more gadgets. You could never have too many gadgets.
For us, internet is absolutely essential. We support several clients aside from the apps that we create, and part of what allows us to be mobile is that we are connected all the time. So yes, for us, it is absolutely essential to have all the gadgets. We found our current arsenal to be the best one for keeping us online most of the time. Having redundant cell phone connections, having a way to use Wi-Fi if that's available, being able to boost up cellular. I mean, these are, like, for us, life-saving techniques that have turned what would be otherwise miserable situations into tolerable ones.
You could get by with just a phone that has a tethering plan, so you can make your phone a hotspot is like the very, very minimum, and that's actually, the share everything type plans and stuff now come with tethering for free. So basically, if you've got a smartphone and a recent plan, you've got a way to get online.
So as to if you need all of those gadgets that we do, that's really going to come down to where you're going to be traveling. Are you going to be out in the boonies where there's no cellular signal? Are you going to be sticking to urban areas? Are you going to be sticking to places with known good Wi-Fi? We design for versatility. We like to be able to go almost anywhere.
And we actually like playing with gadgets.
Yeah, that's our livelihood.
Too, so.
We get paid for playing with gadgets. So,
so you can get by with a lot less. We know people who get Steve on the other extreme has more gadgets than we could even dream about when it comes to over technologizing things. So Steve, microchip.
It's microchipped in the chat. This is, by the way, that's the original Technomad.
He had more gadgets on his bicycle in the 80s than most third world countries have running their entire infrastructure. You can dial it up or down your gadget dependency to any extreme. We kind of go for what we consider a fairly middle road. Questions there.
Okay, great questions coming in. Okay, so Debbie and Bill, they currently have the Wi-Fi Ranger Pro, which is the model before the current one, which the Go is the current new one, but the Pro is still a very viable and good product.
Some ways it might be better.
Some way it might be more stable, because we do consider the Wi-Fi Ranger Go to be more in a...
They haven't had a firmware that is firm yet. They're working on it. They've got a great plan. They're doing active support, but their firmware has been a little bit less than firm so far. So actually, the Pro is in some ways might be a little bit more of a stable thing. So be happy you have a Pro right now.
So as far as what antenna to go with that, there's two choices that Wi-Fi Ranger sells. That would be the Sky and the mobile Boost, right?
Boost.
And I think the Sky is a limited release thing that they're only doing for secondary. So I would go with the
mobile RV, I guess is what
the mobile. I think they're calling. They're changing their names every day. So yes, I would Debbie and Bill. I would go with the mobile Boost RV, whatever they're calling it right now, and that'll be the one that'll go on your roof to increase your amplification on your Wi-Fi Ranger Pro. Okay, when you spend a lot of time on the move, do you miss not having a constant social circle? Oh, yes.
But a lot of our social circle is on the move, too. So.
Well, let's say when we first started, especially when I had, Chris had a big community in San Francisco. I had a big community here in Central Florida where we're currently at. So leaving, it's very different when you're on the road and you're a special guest visitor for a lot of people, which is really great because they generally make a lot of time for you when you're in town. But when you leave, you're generally not in the know of their day-to-day life, and not the way that you are with a local day-to-day community. So, the things that I miss is having people to go grab a movie last minute or go out to dinner, having those friends that you have close by when you've had a really bad day at work, or, you want to go and, diss about the cat or the Chris, or, whatever. Having those friends that you can just go and vent with and, have a walk on the beach or grab a cup of coffee with. So, yes, we do miss those day-to-day connections. But what's happened over in the past several years is there's actually quite a number of our peers that we're meeting on the road, and we now we'll go and camp with them, be temporary neighbors for a month or two at a time, or maybe it's a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's a few nights. So we're really, really enjoying that aspect of it, and having this community of us all that are roaming around and being able to converge in multiple places across the country. We're really, really looking forward to the new RVers groups having a little informal meetup in the month of January down here in Florida in Cedar Key, where we'll be seeing Debbie and Bill at, and we're really looking forward to that.
There's quite a few people converging in Cedar Key in January.
I think the only ones I know of on the chat, though.
Yeah. There's
quite a few of us, and so we're really looking forward to that, because that's really become an important part of our social life, and having those connections and being able to, just the Facebook level connections, and you just have to learn to make the best of what you have in between.
We've got Shad Campbell needs to be connected to download 20 meg files on a regular basis, and for work is the cell plan okay? A lot depends on your definition of okay. And how much redundancy you have. Like, if it's work critical, and you don't have the flexibility of, like, oh, I've got bad connection in this town, I just have to move on. If you need to have some more flexibility, then you have to have a lot more redundancy in your connections. So that's why we have ways to get online with both AT&T and Verizon. We have the MiFi is on Verizon at 4G LTE, and we've got 20 gigs of bandwidth there, and we've got a AT&T plan, including LTE now with via the iPhone 5, that gives us 10 gigs of data. So we've got the two biggest networks, and then we still have down in the Bay, if we really are someplace where we need to get work done, and there was this time last summer, right? Actually, we were someplace that theoretically had cell phone signal. It was really bad. We didn't want to have to move. We wanted to stay where we were camped, so we went and used the satellite dish, and were able to be productive. So we had a third backup plan there.
So when you're mobile, you really have to think differently about your connectivity. It's not like when you have a house set up and you've got a cable line or a DSL line coming into your home or your office, and you can pretty much rely on it always working unless someone's doing construction or you have squirrels eating your lines. Not that I know anything about that. Yeah. When you're on the roam, your connectivity, it can change hour to hour sometimes. Verizon may be working well in the morning, but in the afternoon, as all the neighborhood kids get home and start texting all their friends, the network could slog down.
Well, and just last night, we were actually up fairly late, and I'm thinking Verizon rebooted their towers in the middle of the night here where we're at in Florida, because the Verizon signal disappeared for about 15 minutes during the middle of the night. Like, went from great 4 bars, 5 bars, to 0 bars. No Verizon at all. And we just so happened to be in the middle of trying to get some stuff done, so it was like, okay, switch over to AT&T. We can still get it done. If you don't have some redundancy, then you just have to, the network went down, open a bottle of wine, go for a walk. You've got to have a little bit of a flexibility to deal with poor network connections.
Like it's showing on our screen right now.
Yeah.
Right now we are broadcasting this Ustream using our iPad, which has a grandfathered-in unlimited data plan on AT&T. It was a plan that was available for only the first 2 months of the launch of the iPad, and we've kept it from there because this is our way of being able to stream like Netflix and ABC and other video sources without having to worry about plan caps, and it works pretty well. We have a 3G connection, and yes, it'll crap out every. So often, and you'll get some hesitation in it.
But AT&T has not put any throttling because there were so few of those original iPad plans sold and activated that are still active. They haven't put any throttling on them, so they're actually really fabulous if you can find somebody who has one to take over, because we could watch Netflix and they're not going to shut down or slow down the connection if we watch too much of it right now. So it's great. We can consider this iPad our cable TV.
So, yeah, as far as do you need all those connectivities that we do, it really depends on how essential being online is. For me, I have some clients that have mission-critical applications that I support, and if I'm not able to take their call or their email or get online and diagnose a problem when they call, bad things can happen.
And we want to be able to be online from home. We have in the past, and we know other nomads who, if there's someplace with bad connectivity, they will commute. They'll go in the morning and
go to McDonald's or Panera.
The one time we did it, we drove half an hour into a small town and spent the day at a coffee shop to have connectivity because we were camped in a beautiful place in the deep hollow in the woods with no signal. So we were having commute hours and working from a coffee shop, which was great for a couple of days. And we wouldn't want to do that long term. But there's all sorts of different ways to be flexible. Any more plans for apps?
Yeah.
We've got more plans than we have time.
We have lots and lots of ideas for new apps to create. The problem that comes down to it takes a lot to develop an app. An app like Coverage, we probably put 300 or 400 hours into getting it launched.
Yeah, it's hard. We don't even try to keep track.
We don't even keep track because if we kept track of the hours, we'd probably not make them at all. It's a lot of effort. I mean, Coverage, we pretty much had to go and isolate ourselves somewhere for several weeks and pretty much pull 12, 15-hour days nonstop to get it out. It's a major investment in your time and effort to get a quality app out.
And then a lot of apps, even ones that you put a lot of time and effort into, and I know this talking and reading other developers, is they put in some cases a year of their life into, and then they get it in the store and they're seeing 2 or 3 or 0 or 1 sales a day.
Right.
And when it's selling for like $2 or $1, seeing it sell for 3 copies a day is kind of be heartbreaking sometimes. It's not even worth the time to check it.
It's like our State Lines app. We maybe sell 20 copies a month on it. The app itself is not a moneymaker. It's a money loss for us to create it. But, we use the app, so it's worthwhile in our travels.
And it was a good learning experience.
Learning experience. What we're finding is more and more often is because when Coverage first launched, it was
up and down.
It was up and down a bit, but for the first year, it was a money loss. For sure.
It would buy us a beer or two
a day.
Yes,
but Coverage has, because those maps have to be updated and they're all done by hand, there's a lot of effort that goes into them. Mm-hmm. It was not making enough money to cover the time to keep it updated. Yes. But again, it's an app that we use, so it was worth it. Now Coverage is getting a following. It's getting written up every time a new release of the iPhone comes out or something like that.
It's holding its own now.
It is holding its own now, so it has been worthwhile, and I'm glad we stuck with it. But there are definitely times when we're like,
why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? So it takes a lot. Number one, we have to find a month or two open to develop a new app, and then you have to have a marketing plan to go with it if you want it to be successful, which requires knowing how to work the media. It requires knowing how to get reviews on it. It's a lot of stuff that we know how to do, but it's not just developing the app. There's a lot more involved with it. And what we're finding is now that we have a successful app in the App Store is we're getting opportunities to do custom development for either in-house apps for companies or people wanting us to develop apps for them for the App Store. So we're getting more and more opportunities for that. And it's certainly, we prefer being, it's kind of nice to have some paying income coming in as well instead of always gambling. So we'll probably get some other apps out eventually as we have time. We certainly have no shortage of ideas. It's just a matter of which ones are worth investing the time in, and which ones really solve problems that we have.
Yeah, which ones are going to be fun to do, relatively easy to do, learning experiences to do. It's all up and down, things that we have time to do. Kiki's been working on her iNav app.
Questions over here.
Huh, okay, so...
Okay, are you okay with streaming Netflix with the Millennicum setup?
I wouldn't stream Netflix with Millennicom. Are we live? guess. We also had the question, going to any hashes lately? I would love to find a hash. I just went for a run this afternoon. It was great. Hashing would be a fun thing to do. Haven't been to a hash in a while. Haven't been to a hash since the trailer trash hash.
Alright, we're live.
Okay, we're live. Yay.
Okay, so streaming on Millennicom. If you have the Sprint plan with the unlimited,
go for it.
You go for it if you're in urban areas and have enough bandwidth. If you're on the Verizon plan, we don't.
We
will occasionally do a FaceTime chat because it's very compressed video.
And Netflix is pretty decently compressed, but it actually, you've got to make sure that it doesn't switch into an HD mode, and then because HD video in particular will eat through all of your bandwidth completely. You know, you don't want to do anything with HD video on a plan that's metered in any fashion. But 20 gigs is a reasonably decent amount of data for a month. You could probably get by with like a half an hour, if you ration yourself to a half an hour of streaming video a day. That's my guess. I guess the questions aren't coming up here, they're only coming up over there for some reason. Was there any other question that...
Bill's wanting an app for Border Patrol checkpoints. Thoughts about that?
I wonder if there is one. I know there have been several apps that have done speed trap checkpoints. And I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't one that did other kind of checkpoints too. I actually know the speed trap, the speed camera ones, I believe several attorney generals actually raised a fuss about that and got Apple to agree not to approve them anymore. And I think that's the current state on that, but I've not actually even looked into that. Although I know actually Waze, the one GPS program, a free GPS program, does have a way for you to flag checkpoints. Because it's kind of a social GPS. You could share what your current traffic is like. You can see where other Waze drivers are on the map, and I know there's a way to share checkpoints and things like that. So actually Waze might be the one thing to check, and it's free. WAZE.
On the beach north of Daytona day after tomorrow. How cool are the evenings now? From Elliot. Okay, so Elliot asked what the weather is like in the evenings. It was actually tonight we were out walking, and first night in a long time it actually felt decent, like we weren't going to die.
It's been really muggy in Florida lately. And the days have been in the mid-80s and the nights in the mid-70s, but the humidity's been very high and it's been kind of muggy. We've unfortunately had the air conditioner on almost nonstop just because of that.
I'm so looking forward to being able to just open the windows and be comfortable. We've had summer was way too hot, and when we planned to come down here to Florida, we were up in northern Michigan where it was, we were running the heater in August. So yes, but we're where we want to be. I'm glad we have air conditioning. I'm glad we have 50 amp service so we can run them without worrying about it.
Yep. Okay. I have a question for you 21. Wow, 21 watchers. Question for you guys is how is this? What's this like to be on the receiving end of this Ustream chat? Interesting, quality, useful, easy to hear, video decent. Has it dropped out a lot? Just share how this has been. Is this something that's worthwhile?
And also, if you like the Q&A format, or you prefer we try to have like targeted talks on a certain subject.
Or just set it up and you could like watch our everyday evenings of cat worship. So we could pet the cat and do things like that if that's what you want to see.
Okay. Have you found a functional nationwide coverage health plan? Great. We had a question about healthcare. Have we found a functional nationwide healthcare plan? That's actually going to be one of the next chapters that we update on the blog. It's a daunting one. I'm kind of reluctant to post it, and especially until after the election, and we see if we have Obamacare sticking around or not, because I think that's going to change things for a lot of us. We're currently with Assurant, which has different provider networks on a PPO, and some of them are nationwide and some of them are not. We're with one of them that is fairly nationwide. It's I think it's Aetna that we're currently with.
You're Aetna, I'm still PHCS.
Whatever, yeah, but yeah, we're looking at moving to Florida soon, so and we were just talking with Assurant about that. It's a high deductible HSA plan. So what that means is I think we each have a $5,000 deductible. So nothing gets paid out until we pay that deductible. But we put a little bit away each month into a tax deductible HSA plan or savings account.
Yeah, health savings account.
So all of our medical expenses come out of that, and that's what we found to work best for us. And that seems to be what a lot of our fellow nomads are doing. I don't think that there's, most HMOs are very regionally based, so you're not going to get the co-pays and, only paying $100 for outpatient surgery and things like that plans. So, yeah, if you're going nomadic, definitely search out your health insurance options first and make sure that you budget in what those deductibles are going to cost you over time, and that, be putting away that money so that you can pay them. The other thing to keep in mind is if you are out of network, it might be worthwhile just buying a cheap high deductible plan and just knowing what the out of network deductible costs will be, and just planning around that being your deductible. So yeah, as far as what it costs every month, that's going to vary. I'm not an agent. I don't know your situation. I think we each pay like $200 a month. We're in our late 30s, South Dakota, no major health concerns. It's going to vary a lot by where you're being rated from, what your health condition is, your age, and all that other fun stuff.
What else?
Let's see, wait a minute, we got...
Oh. So I can no longer read the questions. They stop coming through on the iPad for some reason.
A whole bunch of them have come through.
Okay.
Yes. Ustream has commercials. We're not paying for this. Yes. Ustream is an advertising-supported device. We're offering this as a free thing, and we're obviously not going to be paying their $1,000 a month premiums to get.
They have very, very
It's
expensive.
very high to have a commercial Ustream account. So if you guys know of a better solution where we could do this for free without advertising, we're all about it. But for now, we go with what's free and easy for us, because we're doing this for free.
Has anybody used, is Google Hangouts any good for something like this? I've heard some good things, but I've not tried it myself.
Ruby Repub asked if we didn't answer his question. I never saw his question, if you can ask that.
Okay, Ruby Repub, we didn't see your question.
Go ahead and restate it.
So please restate it. I don't think it came through. Ustream censored you. You should blame them.
So we have a lot. It's a great conversational tone. It's just the dropping out every so often.
Cool. Well, it seems like a lot of people are enjoying and the Ustream is working.
How large would you guess the community of Technomads is?
How large is the community of Technomads?
That's a question for Mr. Steve over there.
No, Steve knows how large the community of Technomads was in 1991. The current community of Technomads, I think, is at least 10 or 15. No, it's probably more than that.
So yeah, as far as how many Technomads, it depends upon how you define it. There's a community of new RVers, which are young at heart full-time RVers, so those of not following a traditional retirement path. Debbie and Bill, if you want to help me out with this number, I mean, the group on Facebook has at least 100 or so people in it, but as far as active,
how many people are on the New RVers forums?
I don't know. I don't have the number. I know that we're tracking, on our list, I've tracked down probably about 60 other new RVing, working on the road people, as far as technology-enabled nomads, because that could encompass people who are backpacking, sailing, like Steve Roberts is.
And it depends on where you set the definition of just using technology versus, like, being
Uber
technology
about it.
and, like, is there a threshold you have to cross?
I mean, someone wrote us the other day and said, "Do I qualify to be a technomad?" Number one, we're not issuing cards for this, so.
Oh, maybe we should.
Maybe we should. Yeah, that could be an income source.
And there could be an initiation ritual and a national convention. I think this could work.
Oh yeah, sure. We'll get right on that. As far as technology-enabled nomad, I mean, if you're able to be nomadic because of technology, or, I mean, there's no one to. I mean, okay, the guy who invented the word is.
He's on the chat.
He's on the chat. Maybe he'll speak up and share.
I know initially the definition required you to be pizza powering and pedaling your home on wheels. So, the definition is very fluid, and a lot of people have taken it to mean many different things to themselves. But there's a decent amount.
Recommendations for an RV park in the Bay Area. San Francisco or Tampa?
Yes, which Bay Area? Because there's lots of bays, but I'm assuming the San Francisco Bay Area, and therefore San Francisco Bay Area is a hard place to stay. But our kind of secret there is a place called a Treasure Island RV Park. Or is it RV park or trailer park?
It's a mobile. It's the Treasure Island mobile home and RV park. So it's mostly a mobile home park, which is very similar to what we're staying in here in Florida.
And it is nowhere near Treasure Island. It is actually in Colma, the cemetery city just south of San Francisco.
But it is a block and a half from a Trader Joe's. That's very important, and a BART station. So it's great for central public transit. So that's our place of choice to stay if we're not street camping with friends.
And it's very affordable at their monthly rates for the Bay Area anyway. And so that's the best way to stay close to San Francisco and be accessible.
I think the other two, there's one not too far from there that's on the ocean. If you're looking for scenic overlooks, it's much more pricier. And there's the one at Candlestick Park. I've never stayed.
It's a big parking lot.
It's basically a big parking lot, and I think you have access to a bus stop.
Yeah, but no, they have a shuttle. I don't think there's actually public transit. Whereas here, you're on all the main public transit in the Bay Area. You've got BART, and you've got you're just 2 stops away from Caltrain, and you've also got major bus lines, and the interstate is right there. So it's about as central access to all things Bay Area as you can possibly be. It's not the most scenic of places, but it's actually fairly nice. So Treasure Island RV Park. Don't everybody spread the word on this one, because then it'll be full if we ever try to go there again. But it's actually quite a secret.
So Ruby Repub or Susan, she asked about mouse fur in the bathrooms. I'm not quite sure I understand that question, Susan. Mouse fur in the bathrooms. Is that lingo?
Is this a question for Kiki?
Is that a question for Kiki? Or some kinky new sport that we've not heard from yet?
Mouse fur.
Mouse fur in the bathroom.
My imagination is running wild. Kiki, do you want to chime in on this one? She's more of a lizard cat, but I actually found a lizard in the sink today. It was still alive. It didn't have a tail. It was hiding in the sink. And I had to chase it and get it outside. So, yeah, we have lizards in the sink, not mouse fur in the bathroom.
If we turn the chat on and off. Let me see if the chat's updated on the iPad.
Yes.
So let's just turn those off, because that's just disrupting my view.
Yep, okay.
I'm scrolling back through to see if I missed any other questions that someone might have posted. please do keep your questions coming if you have them. Material they use on the ceiling. I'm thinking.
Material, is this the mouse for? Is material on the ceiling?
Ceiling of what?
Ceiling of the bathroom?
I think.
We're still confused about mouse fur. The roof lining in our...
We were just up at Scamp. I'm not familiar with Scamps.
I'm a little bit familiar with Scamps. They're double hulled. They have a fiberglass inside, right?
I have no clue. We don't know much about Scamps. We were in an Oliver, which is a different construction. We didn't. Scamp wasn't much of a contender for us because at the time we were in Florida, and I think Scamp is made up north, and we needed something that we could easily drive to get, so we didn't even.
Well, and also once we saw Oliver.
Once we saw an Oliver, there was no other consideration for us.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, okay, this is so much better than any other small trailer we've ever seen. We can't even go in another small trailer again because they all look bad in comparison. It was awful. Well, the first day we saw an Oliver, we were ruined.
What's the biggest challenge to getting on road for the first time? Question, what's the biggest challenge?
I guess for me, the biggest challenge was actually setting a date. I had it in mind that, okay, I'm want to go nomadic, but I had all these things. I should do this first and that first and this first and that first, and realized that I wasn't making too much progress on that, so I just called my landlord and gave him a month-and-a-half notice or 2-month notice, irrevocable. I will be out on this date. You can start trying to find a new renter. And that was before I had the trailer, before I had the storage unit, before I had anything figured out, before I had a tow vehicle. So having a deadline and then having to being forced to panic was the best thing for me.
Right.
The biggest challenge was pressing that button and then starting the panic cycle.
And then you go into kind of the list of things that you have to do. Purge all your belongings, make arrangements for whatever your living situation was, finding your new living situation, trying to say goodbye to your community,
your stuff,
making sure that whatever your mobile income source is going to be is all set up, whether that's starting a new business or transitioning your existing one to being mobile. It's overwhelming. It's a lot of stuff to have to do, and you circling the date on the calendar is probably the single biggest step that you can take, because once you start making commitments, ending leases or quitting jobs, saying goodbye to friends and things like that, it starts to get really real, and you get your ass in gear after that. There's no other.
And there's a huge difference between saying I will be out April 1st versus I'm going to be hitting the road in the springtime. It's having a very set, circled, put it in stone, make it as irrevocable as you can. Date is the thing that for me was the absolute key.
When I decided to join the road, join Chris on the road after we met, we were talking about it in a lot of theoretical terms, and we were taking trial runs together, going out on the road for a week or two at a time, and just seeing how his little trailer felt for both of us, and if I could work remotely and still get what I needed done while we're at campsites and out exploring. But I started looking at the list of stuff that we had to do, and I was just getting into this repetitive cycle of, I've got to purge my closet, I've got to get rid of my dresser, I've got to find some place, I've got to get rid of my car, I've got to get my house on the market, I've got to do all this other stuff, and I've got to, set up a mobile internet source so that I can keep connected, and we got to have all this other stuff. And it was just becoming so overwhelming. And that's when we sat down and we said, let's pick a date. Pick a date. Because, I didn't know, did I need to plan this for 2 weeks from now? or 3 months from now. And that sets it very differently. And it was driving me crazy not knowing when our target was. So once we set a date, we announced it on our personal blogs. If you don't know, Technomadia.com is just an extension of our old personal blogs from when we met. We announced it to our friends there, and that made it real. We started turning off utilities at my house and, announcing going away parties and, all that other stuff that comes along. And that made it real, and it made us be able to set the pace at which we had to start, tackling this list of stuff that we had to get done. Did any of your friends or family tell you that you're crazy? Well, yeah, they're telling us that before, though.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit crazy, and my folks thought this was a phase at first. So it's been 6 years in. It's I don't get the you're crazy very often anymore.
Yeah, I think Chris's parents thought, because he was laid off from his prior job in Silicon Valley, and I think they thought that he was doing this as a 1-year break before going back into corporate America.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I never really wanted another big company job, so it was actually I was thrilled. It's like, wow, I'm done. I don't have to do this again.
And you had been looking at doing this for a while.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to.
Chris had been
I had too good of a job to quit.
Right, and Chris had been friends with Steve Roberts for many years, and that was kind of one of his inspirations for doing this.
I actually, even with my job, I had started to pursue at one point either living in a bus or a sailboat and working, and actually had broached the idea of, well, if I had a bus, could I live in the parking lot at work during the week and then go to Yosemite on weekends? And I've gotten, so the idea wasn't new when the job evaporated. So he made a conscious decision. Yeah, it was on my list for a long time.
He could have landed any other job in Silicon Valley that he wanted. He had enough connections and things like that, and he made a conscious decision not to.
Yeah.
He probably counted some friends. I think more envy than anything else.